President. You won't have too much dealing with this, but it's important to at least know some of the things about council life. So this is just a chart, kind of like an organization chart, sort of. Can everybody see it? Hopefully that's you can see that. This really kind of shows the organization of St. Vincent de Paul from a single council or a single conference all the way up to the international. And you can see that we have people living in poverty at the top of that, because that's really, that should drive all the work that we do, and that's who we all as Vincentians are responsible for. So we've got conferences there at the top. Deb mentioned that there are, depending how you categorize them, there's about 30, 31 conferences in our council. We're one of the larger councils by number of conferences that exist in St. Vincent de Paul. Most councils are smaller, maybe 5 or 6 conferences. The district council line there, we are the Dayton District Council. And then the next level would be the Archdiocesan Council. We're in the Cincinnati Archdiocese. So we're in that Archdiocesan Council, and then there's a national and international council. I just briefly want to mention, too, all of you are familiar with Beacons of Light and the parish families that have been formed through that process. And I would just mention, remember that St. Vincent is not a part of the church. It is affiliated with the church, but it's not part of the church. With that in mind, we are... Organizationally, yes. With that in mind, our conferences are mindful of the parish families that they are working with. Actually, tonight, Incarnation Conference is our parish family includes St. Francis. So we're having a recommitment mass, and then we're going to have a potluck together with all of the conference members from both conferences, just so we can relate to one another and know one another and fulfill that friendship responsibility that we have. Some conferences are probably going to get more intentional about partnering with one another, even consolidating. We don't require that. That is really something for the conference to determine, along with the pastor of their parish family. So that's something that we are working with now because of Beacons of Light. So beyond the district council, we are all members. Well, that's different. Okay, so what's a council? It really is just a group of conferences. I think you kind of mentioned that. Nothing really special about that, but that is what a council is. It's just a group of conferences. This shows the organization. We have the conferences are part of a district council, the Archdiocesan Council, the region, and then the national council. So what does a district council do? So one of the most important things that we do in the district council is formation. We have this activity right now is part of the formation of the role of the Dayton District Council. We try to bring all members together for spirituality and for formation of them as a Vincentian. We do the Ozanam Orientation. We do other work to support conferences. Deb, Shannon, are all support to all of the conferences. We're lucky in that regard because there are some district councils that don't have paid staff members. And we're very fortunate to have Deb and the other paid staff members here. So the Archdiocesan Council then, well, and the other thing is that we run special works, which is something else that is unique about the Dayton District Council. There's only a handful of district councils across the country, us and Cincinnati being two of those, that have a significant special works operation. And the special works that we have that the Dayton District Council is responsible for include this building and the Women and Children's Shelter here at Apple Street. It includes the Gettysburg Men's Shelter out there on Gettysburg. We have a couple of different locations where we have supportive housing, which is primarily for men, women, families who are moving out of shelter. Many of them move into those supporting housing units, and we are that's part of our social work or special works ministry. We have the community store. How many of you been to the community store? Anybody been there? Okay. It's new and revitalized and looks and acts and is much different than it used to be. So that is another one of our special works, as is our Urban Outreach Center, which I have to give kudos to Deb. She really was the driving force behind putting that Urban Outreach Center. It really serves the western portion of Dayton that hadn't been well served and has significant need. So that's one of our special works. The last one I'll mention is the Jobs Center, which is over on Edwin C. Moses. You probably know that. A good portion of that building is we lease it out. We own it and we lease it out to Montgomery County, different Montgomery County services. So lots of different special works activities in the Dayton District Council. So one other thing to mention, part of the District Council's education includes serveware. Most of you probably operate serveware to manage the relationship with neighbors and just keep that data. We do a lot of serveware training, which is very helpful to the conferences. So this is the region, the way that the United States is split into regions. You can see that we're part of the Mid-East region, which includes Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and Michigan. This is just more information about forming new councils. Council presidents are accountable. My responsibility is to serve the needs of the conferences, and we have a board that is made up of all the council presidents who are responsible for doing that, making those decisions. One of the big advantages of the Dayton District Council and the fact that we have these different special works is we do generate a fair amount of income through those special works, and we are able to then return. Right now we're returning $250,000 a year back to the conferences so that they can use that to serve the poor. We have a group of conference presidents who get together and look at the needs of the Dayton conferences, especially the urban conferences tend to need more resources than the suburban conferences do. Well, and it's a great source of help for those conferences. Another thing I'd mention, let's see. My slides are very different than what my notes are, so I apologize. Let me just talk a little bit about, because I'm not sure that it's in here anymore. Nope. Let me talk a little bit more about the special works element. We have a community board that is responsible for kind of overseeing those special works. All those ones that I mentioned to you, they generate $16 million of income every year for St. Vincent de Paul, which is a fair amount of money. We have about $32 million worth of assets between this building and the job center and other operations that we have. And we have a community board that is responsible for operating those special works. Now, at the same time, and very important for you all to understand, it is the Dayton District Council and those 30 presidents of the conferences that make decisions related to the budget and plans and programs for those special works. So I just want to make it clear that it is this council that runs the show for everything, even though we have kind of an advisory board that helps us with the special works activities. Just a little bit of information. That community board has to be made up of 51% Vincentians. We want business people to be on that so that it helps us operate the special works, but it has to be Vincentian. There has to be that majority of Vincentians to ensure that we provide that kind of oversight. So, let's see what's next. So just a reminder, this is something that you've seen before, our core principles, democracy, everything that we do at the council level and at the conference level is based on democracy. It's consensus. We are supposed to make all our decisions by consensus, which is not a majority vote. That is everybody agreeing to something. It doesn't always maybe sort out that way, but we should work very hard at coming to an agreement that everybody can be satisfied with. Subsidiarity, I think Deacon John mentioned that. Subsidiarity is something else that is essential, that we push any decision-making down as low in the organization as possible and to where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. One of the things in this role that I see is that even though we have 32 conferences and we have Deb, all that Deb said about conferences, about what makes an effective conference, at the same time, every conference operates a little bit differently based on the needs of the area and the neighbors that they're serving and how they want to conduct their operations. And that is what we need to do. We have to support that particular conference in interpreting the needs of their neighbors according to how they see things and living within the rule. So it's that subsidiarity and democracy are very important concepts for us. And then servant leadership, we really want to lead as Christ did, seek to build the talents of the folks in our conference and not be the person who gets to wave the flag and tell everybody what to do and demand things. So that's a very important concept. The next is just a slide that shows our cultural beliefs. This is kind of a repeat also of some things that were talked about before. Spiritual growth is at the top, the key element for us. We are one society. We all have the same rule. Servant leadership we mentioned. embracing accountability, inclusive planning. So when we get together to plan, either at the conference level or the council level, we really want to include as many perspectives and opinions as we can, and we advocate for justice. In addition to just serving the poor, we have a Voice of the Poor really effort within St. Vincent de Paul. Many districts have a Voice of the Poor committee, and we try to advocate for social justice issues either locally or regionally or nationally. The national organization, just to speak for a second, they give us advice, they provide spiritual materials, they provide workshops for us. A lot of training materials comes from national. They only have 20 employees. They get an awful lot done with the number of folks that they have. They publish the Vincentian. So a lot of good things come from national, and there's a website, which I think Deb mentioned, that has a lot of that information. Twinning was mentioned before. I think you have a sense of that. So the way that actually works is conference has a bill that they want to help with. They can't cover all of it. An email goes out from here to all conference presidents saying, Our Lady of the Rosary has a twinning request for X dollars. And then conference presidents on their own decide, can I participate in that? Can I help with that? And I see all of those, and I'll tell you that it never takes more than about an hour for all of those twinning requests to be met. It's amazing to see how people support that. We have also supported other countries. We've done some international twinning. We've done some for Ukraine. We've also done some when there have been natural disasters in other parts of our country. So that's just a little bit of information about twinning.
The floods in northern Kentucky.
All
those floods in northern Kentucky.
And yes, exactly. That's one of the more local ones that where we twinned. I think it was for Ukraine. I think the conferences raised $50,000, believe it or not. And Michael Vanderberg, who is our executive director, the leader of the staff, Michael said to me, "Well, if the conferences are gonna raise some money, I'll promise that we'll match whatever they whatever they donate." I think he regretted that a little bit, but it was great. It's all they need it over there. They have there's 3 Vincentian conferences in Ukraine. So believe it, that is all there actually are, but the need there is so enormous. So just a little side note about that. This is a list of resources. I think the very best resource that we have is sitting right over here to my left. Deb is such a great resource, so helpful, always available. But in addition, there are these the national website resources there. There is additional training that's available that you can get right on the national website, or Deb or I or others can help you with that. And then here are some additional references that are available for anyone who would